Hello, everyone, and welcome to
Femsplaning.
Femsplaning, Feminist Explaining. And here I am, Aisa Hasna. You can call me Hasna, and I'm here with two of my colleagues. You can introduce yourself.
My name is Muhammad Rafli Ramadan. You can call me Rafli.
My name is Shekina Adriabawa. You can call me Eddie.
And we're the delegation of Group 8. And the three of us actually came from Indonesia.
Yeah.
And today's topic, we're going to talk about Smriti Raus, one of the most prominent figure in feminist economy.
Exactly.
Exactly. So if you guys don't know, Smriti Rao is a professor of economics in the Assumption College.
Yeah.
And also she's a researcher in Women's Researchers Center in Brandeis University. And she's also a part of the agrarian study. So she's basically creates this or popularize this kind of system that's called time use survey in terms of calculating the amount of work that women do for domestic and care work.
Exactly.
And she actually successfully implemented it in the India National Survey in 2019. So congrats on that.
Exactly.
She has been writing a lot of articles from 2005.
Yeah.
I was
she
only
made
1 year
a lot
old.
of articles.
Yeah.
She's good in his field.
So, yeah, that's the Smriti Rao that I know. But
Yeah.
turns out that you guys, I think, already know about Smriti Rao.
For sure,
yeah.
yeah.
I have read a few paper of hers,
Oh,
especially,
nice.
and I like her works because she often discuss about a topic that often overlooked. For example, one of the paper I've read, which is discussing about the COVID-19 pandemic, which is
very recent.
one of the darkest period of our
Yeah.
times, which
Yes.
affect
sure.
each and every one of us. And Smriti and her colleagues actually discussed this pandemic on the perspective of migrant domestic worker, which
Oh, that's very
obviously
interesting.
during the pandemic, during the lockdown, one of the most important roles during the pandemic is of course the migrant domestic worker, which is their job is to take care in home. And turns out through this paper I learned that migrant domestic worker often overlooked by by the policy, like they know have protective law when it comes to their jobs. And the pandemic really puts migrant domestic worker in such a vulnerable position and very prone to exploitative conditions, especially in this case is a migrant woman, of course. Like there's no protective law, there are easily I don't know, we can call it a very important role but very disposable, like they are
Oh,
very
yeah.
easily replaceable
Yeah.
because they have no such a protective law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that is I think that relates to her work that I read before. It's about policies too. And yeah, I feel like she really critiques on how these policies, government, they don't really take care of underprivileged or marginalized women that much. So they make the policies, but they don't really,
Actually apply
Yeah.
in real life.
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Because what I read was about economic liberalization policies. So the government plans to give out loans to women, and they're like managed by these self-help groups, which are also made up of women from same social economic conditions. So you can tell, like, women from underprivileged groups, they cannot have the same success because they don't have the same access, they don't have the same like education as women from more privileged, especially the caste system. They're
Oh, yeah.
really they're still there, right?
Yeah,
In India
it's still a problem.
it is. So yeah, these women, they have these loans, but the government don't give them proper training, so they don't really know how to make use of it. Like,
yeah.
so yeah, these programs are, it's like a shortcut. They just want
Oh.
a shortcut.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's really unfortunate, and she critiques on that a lot. So yeah, I feel like it's pretty similar how they don't give protection or
Yeah.
like implement them for a long term
Yeah.
result. Yeah.
At the start, it was very positive because it's
At the
about
st-
it's about
exactly.
giving loans and
Yeah.
trying to empower
Giving
rural
opportunities.
women. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I hear a lot more, Yeah, I think they're just taking shortcuts. They're just doing it
Exactly.
for the sake of doing it. They just want to be seen as we help women.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
help rural women.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly the case from the paper that I read actually.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
from 2023, which is very recent.
Very recent.
Yes, it's very recent. It's Raus and Ramnarins.
Mm-hmm.
It also talks about a policy in India.
Mhm.
It's the NREGA. If you guys know, it's the Mahatma Gandhi
Mhm.
National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So, from the name, we already know that it wants to guarantee employment, and it's targeted.
Okay.
Well, it's not targeted to rural women, but it's
Mm.
for rural households.
Mm.
But the thing is, because of the COVID-19 and the agrarian crisis from the 90s and the 2000s, many women are put into a position where they must choose this NREGA work, which is, NREGA works only provides like hourly jobs of like hard labor. They need to build stuff.
I
It's
see.
very unskilled labor and very dangerous.
Oh.
And yeah, it got a lack of insurance, health insurance and social insurance. Yeah, and it really sucks because women in that position where they need to be the backbone of their families, they also need to provide for their families too in terms of domestic and care work.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to point out the positive from NREGA.
Okay.
NREGA provides care support for women. So if they have babies or they have family that needs to be taken care of,
Yeah.
the NREGA can help provide support.
Mm.
But the thing is, a lot of the women that are participating in NREGA, actually, their burden is actually on the domestic
I
side
see.
of work. So like cooking, cleaning,
Mm.
and it takes 90% of their time. And
Oh.
this research actually is based on the time used survey, and it's Raus actually
Yeah.
that provides the data. And you can even see it from the paper, right? If you guys
Okay.
are interested, I mean, it's really an interesting read because
Yeah.
again, it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
It's just the government trying to save face.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
though this kind of scheme is not very applicable to
Exactly.
to all of the
Yeah.
women and all of
Yeah.
the rural households.
Yeah, what I love about Rao's work is how she puts attention to care work a lot, because in
Yeah.
my readings too, like she said that the government really shifted the focus from welfare to economic growth,
Mhm.
so they cut the budgets for like social services,
Oh,
which
that's
put
bad.
burdens to women even more.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
bad.
it's really bad, because you know how our society, they often look women, we have to do all the care work in the
Oh
family.
yeah,
Care work holds our society together,
yeah.
and yeah, the thing is that the government,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
they make these
It is
policies.
so saddening how
It
this
is.
paper is very recent too. Like
It
Yes.
is.
it's very ongoing issue.
2023. It's like last year.
Yeah.
yeah, and
crazy.
the thing is, Smriti actually starts writing from 2005
Five.
until
Yeah.
2023,
Exactly. So
and the
sad.
problem is still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
it's
think
all the same.
yeah.
It's really deeply embedded in the
Yeah.
culture.
I think it's not even a problem for rural Indian women. I mean, from my experience in regarding like domestic work,
Yeah.
so I live pretty near to a rural community.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of rural women there, and they're so nice. And unfortunately, because of their economic kind of condition and also their education, a lot of them are burdened with multi-layered kind of work, starting from care work, caring for their families, domestic work, their own home, and they started to like reach out to many of the people to hire them as domestic workers. The thing is that this hiring mechanism is not formal. It doesn't have any contracts, it doesn't have any health insurance, it doesn't even have social protection.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they need this job to provide for their family on top of taking care of the family. I mean,
Yeah.
you need to take care of your own family and take care of other family. So that's a thing in like near my house, and it's pretty saddening because we don't, from my point of view, we don't like put in the national minimum wage scheme. So they're actually paid by the negotiations from the people that hire them. So it's really sad because they and the people that hire them doesn't see the price and doesn't see the value of
Mm.
domestic work. That's
Yeah.
really sad.
And I know they are often faced with a lot of dangerous situations, like harassment from the what we say it like majikan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
people that hire
That hire
Yeah.
them. Yeah, and it was really sad. And I actually remember my
Oh.
neighbor. She used to have umba as well. We call them umba,
Mm.
domestic
Yeah.
work,
Mhm.
and this umba lives with their family,
Mhm.
with her child, her
Oh.
own baby. So she had to take care like the babies from the
from
from the
family?
people
Oh.
who hire
Yeah,
her,
Oh.
yeah.
as well as her own baby. So she's like cooking while making
Oh my
sure that
God.
her own baby is, not
Taken care of,
crying and
yeah.
all that, because if her baby cries, the people that hire her will be mad, or
Oh
like will
my
be angry,
God.
like
I
yeah.
mean,
So
she's-
it's really sad.
She
to
gotta
see.
do all of this stuff.
She gotta do all of these stuff.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it sounds very impressive, but very depressing as well.
Yeah.
Very sad, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a reality in our country.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
feel like women is, I don't know, like fighting or losing battles, because like we need the women need the job, but there's no, as you said, like there's no like formal law, a formal agreement, like because I've read actually like we in Indonesia has a few law like undang-undang, but
Yeah.
in reality like
It's not
no,
implemented.
no,
It's not
it's
implemented
not
at all.
because
all.
of course like as a migrant domestic worker, we don't have like a formal
Contract.
agreement from a contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are very prone to abusive condition, and it's very sad too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, we see a lot of women on the streets, like working informal jobs, like
Yeah.
selling traditional drinks or
Yeah.
all of that, and yeah, the same thing. No policies that protect
Mhm.
them, and even if they are, it's not implemented well,
Yeah.
because you know how deeply like
Corrupted the system.
corrupted the system
yeah.
are, and our society, Indonesians, they're still
Yes,
very patriarchal.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel very relieved and sad because we can relate our situations in
yeah.
our country with the situation in
Mm.
rural India, which
Mm.
means that this kind of suffering is not it's
Yeah.
it's not specific to time and place.
Yeah,
It's
it happens
global.
everywhere.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's the red string that I can connect from Smriti's work, because her topics are very much like
Yeah.
migrant workers,
Yeah.
feminist economics,
Yeah.
and also how women
Mm.
can contribute to the macroeconomics.
Yeah.
When in reality is the women that works 24/7,
Yeah.
even in the non-productive way, which is the
Mm.
reproductive work,
Mm.
that they need to
Yeah.
force themselves in regards
Yeah.
to like the productive work and also the reproductive work. And yeah,
yeah,
it's very sad that it's not recognized in the macroeconomics.
even in the global movement, I feel like these problems are not mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
Not mentioned at all, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I feel like her work really is taking the people to rethink,
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more
a lot more
regarding reproductive work.
yeah, and these
Yeah.
policies, they need to be,
Yeah. Like through her
Real-
work,
yeah.
Yeah.
these problems are more like reaching more audience through Rao's
Mhm.
work, and I'm
Mhm.
really like
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the solutions that she gave is
Mhm.
basically just give the people that their own rights to clean water, their own rights to sanitation, their own rights to health and education.
Yeah,
And
protection.
it feels like it's a simple thing to
Yeah,
do,
it's
It
very
is.
basic.
we
But-
can't fulfill that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad that those basic needs to be addressed. Like it's so sad. Like
Exactly.
as simple as sanitation needs to be addressed. It's so sad to hear.
Yeah, and that's what I really can take from your paper and your paper, because
Yeah.
it's the thing about resource that these women are, they can't reach resources because they're in bad conditions, and maybe they're not in the, in the level of economics that provides them and give them the chance to reach the resource. And
That's true.
that is very sad. And
Yeah, I hope like in the future people will read her work.
Yes.
More people.
100%.
It's
She
very
needs more
interesting.
recognition.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Smriti Raus is the best.
Yeah.
And she did, like, implement the time use data. And I really hope that, because she actually collaborated with a very statistic code,
Yeah.
so it's very reachable. It's very reachable for
yeah.
us, and you can actually use it. She gave us handbooks in terms of like using the time
okay.
use survey.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a step towards, putting the reproductive work into the national
Yeah.
survey, like into the national macroeconomics kind of,
That's
the GDP
important.
also.
Yeah.
Like, we need to actually calculate that also. And the
Yeah.
time use data with the statistic code stata,
Mm.
I think it's a really great leap towards that kind of,
Yeah.
that kind of
Mm.
process in microeconomics. What do
Okay.
you take from our conversations and maybe from your paper?
Yeah, I feel like from what I've read is it really is important to take care of the problem because we're talking about policies. Like, we need to take care of it from the grassroots, which is the policymaker. Like, we need
The
to
grassroots.
Yeah.
Yeah, the grassroots.
we really need
Yeah.
to not just like formally, oh yeah, our country actually has this law, but like not actually implemented it. Like,
Yeah.
we actually need to
Yeah.
I don't know, like reform the government itself, like to not overlook this type of issues.
Yeah. And of course, pay attention to the systemic inequalities
Yeah.
that happen
Yeah.
in real life. Because in India, there's caste and class divisions, and even between women, there are like different levels. Like, women from maybe more privileged community, basically. Oh wait, I think the government did not put attention to that. That's
Yeah.
why like the policies, they don't really reach the audience or like the
Yeah.
target that needs it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like in our country too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they don't really take care of that. Yeah.
I
they
think
don't really.
I think you said it the best.
Yeah.
We need grassroots
Yeah,
kind of
grassroots.
like
Yes.
movement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the government, and also from the government giving them a chance to speak and to
Yeah.
empower
Yes.
themselves. Because if you only see it from the top, I don't
Yeah.
think you can
Nope.
implement it very well, because there's a lot of, as you said, there's a lot of conditions
Yeah.
that needs to be addressed. There's a
Yeah.
lot of specific kind of case that
Yeah.
that needs to be solved. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the scheme that the Indian government gives, such as the policies that you talked about, and also Narega, is very general.
It's very general.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know that it's good to be general in terms of like empowering people, but the thing is, when you're in like a social and economic kind of condition that are very very interrelated to this kind of problem, I think you need a lot more specific.
Yeah, especially in terms of empowering in what context,
Yeah.
like in what.
Exactly.
Because if you only focus on economic growth, then what about their welfare?
Yeah.
What about the care work? What about their conditions and all that? So yeah, I feel like they need to really rethink about the things that they're gonna implement in their policies. So yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah. Raw has been working on her field for what, 10, 15 years?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it really proves that this is a very multi-layered problems that
Mm.
really need to be taken care of, and it's not a very simple problem, and yeah, it really needs to be taken care of. A lot of time to consider, especially for the government, like of how they need to take care of this type of problems. So,
yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
especially for domestic workers
Exactly.
without contracts and without
Yeah.
specific health insurance and
Yeah.
protections,
Yeah.
because there's still a lot of that
Mm.
going on,
Mm-hmm.
not just in rural India but also
Mm.
in our country as well,
Yeah.
and I think globally too.
Globally,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
It's a constant struggle, and
Constant
yeah,
Being a woman,
being a
sadly,
woman,
is a
sadly,
constant struggle.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm really thankful for Smriti Rao to actually make this kind of work, this kind of articles, because now I know that this kind of case, like study case,
Yeah.
is not just in my country,
yeah.
Oh.
but it is unfortunately
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
a widespread kind
Yeah,
of
it's
problem.
happening.
I'm trying to be positive here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be positive. I
As
think,
mentioned,
I think Smriti Rao's inspired me to.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for
inspired
sure,
me
for
to,
sure.
I think I wanna do a survey on my own regarding regarding
I don't think there's
domestic work.
any article about Indonesia.
Oh,
about
really?
that. I don't know. Maybe I have.
Well, I haven't heard of it.
I haven't heard of it, but
Yeah.
if there is,
Yeah.
it would
and
be so great.
hopefully through this podcast, like we reach more audience and make them intrigued more to explore these type of issues.
Exactly. Maybe they're they're inspired enough to actually take care of their own survey, and maybe just like a little survey in in your own complex, and just talking about people, talking about domestic work, because
Yeah, we really need to pay more attention.
even little steps are steps towards the greater future. And I'm really inspired. I'm really interested in give like taking a research in domestic work in Indonesia, because it's very near my heart in regards to that. And I hope you guys can take the positive side and the negative side
Definitely,
from this podcast, and also from the readings that you did. And so that's it for the Femsplaning, feminist explaining. I hope you guys are enjoying our conversation regarding Smriti Rao's work in regards to migrant workers, feminist economics, and I hope you guys are inspired as well. And don't forget to check out Smriti Rao's works, and see you guys later.